those of you new to the center, we are a nonprofit organization that offers free support, wellness, and education to everyone impacted by cancer, as well as their loved ones. Today, we have a very special program with Dr. Neha Gothi and her students, Veronica and Emily, who will be joining us today to talk about the benefits of physical activity for cancer survivors. Without further ado, welcome, Dr. Gothi.
Right. Good morning, everybody. I hope you all can see my screen. So I have a few slides to share with you. And then the plan for today is once I'm done speaking a little bit about the science and the background and the recommendations, my students, Emily and Veronica, can lead you through some easy stretches and exercises that you can do right where you are at home, just to give you a glimpse into how you can actually implement some of the things we talk about during today's lecture. So the way I planned this talk for today, I already introduced you. Veronica and Emily are with me. I think they just waved, but you will see them shortly once they are leading a short exercise session. They're both graduate students. They work with me in the exercise psychology lab here at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So here is the plan for today. I'll take about the first 20 to 30 minutes to go over some of the concepts related to physical activity and exercise. Why is it important? How do we define those concepts? So exercise and physical activity are related to each other, but they are also distinct behaviors that we can choose to engage in. And then the second part of the lecture, I'll talk a little bit about what are some of the health benefits of exercise and of physical activity, specifically for cancer survivors. So what does the science say? What does the evidence say? How much exercise is good for us? And what kind of benefits can we expect, whether be it along the course of prevention or preventing cancer's occurrence, or it could be during treatment, or it could also be post-treatment as part of survivorship, and how exercise can benefit with management of a variety of symptoms. And then finally, I'll recap some of the guidelines that are put out by the CDC, by the NIH, that talk about the physical activity guidelines. It's often said that exercise is medicine. And so if exercise is medicine, what is the dose? How much of it do you really need? And so there are some guidelines that are talked about in terms of how much exercise do you need, what type of exercise do you need, and what is good for your body, good for your health. So we'll talk a little bit about those guidelines that are outlined by federal organizations. So just to kick us off, I think since you are on mute, I can kind of skim through this, but this is usually where I solicit some responses from the crowd, from the attendees. If you have access to the chat box, you can put some things in the chat, but it's really trying to understand what is physical activity. How would you define it? What are some examples that you can think about that would encompass physical activity? It could be things that you do on a day-to-day basis, which are part of your everyday lifestyle, or these could be things that are more structured that you participate in. It could be in a gym setting, or it could be in a YMCA or a specific facility that you are signed up for or you have a membership with. And those could be activities that you participate through more structured organizations. So broadly defined, physical activity is considered as any movement of the body, right? So any bodily movement, and the movement occurs because of our contraction and relaxation of skeletal muscles, right? So our body is made up of a variety of muscles, big and small. And so any type of contraction and relaxation of the muscles results in movement of joints and of bones. The key here is that we want physical activity we define physical activity when the movement is something that is above and beyond our resting levels. So at rest, we are still working, our body is still using up energy. We are still burning calories when we are not moving, and that is because our body is still working to beat your heart, or is still digesting food, is still making sure your lungs are working, your endocrine systems are functioning. your digestive tract is functioning. So even when you're not doing anything, even when you're at sleep at overnight, your body is still spending energy so that your body can function and take care of all the functions that it needs to execute, just to keep you going. But when we talk about physical activity, we are talking about energy expenditure that exceeds that resting level. So that goes above and beyond what it takes to keep your body functioning. And we often define physical activity in terms of light, moderate, or vigorous intensity. So intensity becomes quite important. And when we talk about some of those recommendations, it will become even more evident that the intensity of exercise matters. So if it is light exercise, it is something usually where it is your normal breathing rate, you are able to sing or talk through a conversation. Moderate exercise is usually where your breathing will get a little bit faster. You may still be able to carry a conversation, but you can definitely not sing as you're doing that moderate intensity activity. And then you have vigorous exercise where clearly you are out of breath as you are doing that activity, and you may not be able to hold a conversation, definitely not sing along as you're engaging in vigorous exercise. So a lot of the evidence spans across these intensities, and there is a lot of evidence suggesting one could be a little bit better than the other for certain symptoms, for certain health conditions, etc. So these are terminologies that you will see throughout the talk today when I talk about some of the benefits, and also when I talk about those recommendations or prescription of exercise as it is set out for cancer survivors. Broadly defined, there are also two broad categories of physical activity. Like I mentioned, physical activity can be any movement that you do as part of your everyday lifestyle. So on the right here, you can see you may be gardening for long hours of the day, especially when the weather is nice and warm over the summer and fall months. All of that is exercise. Gardening is a form of exercise. You may walk around the block, you may take care of your grandchildren, or you may be doing some dishes or cleaning or laundry. So you may be doing a lot of activities around your home as part of your life, as part of your lifestyle. And so all of those certainly are physical activity. And then on the other hand, on the left here is what we refer to as leisure time exercise. So these are activities that you choose to do, but you do those in your free time. So you have some dedicated time assigned to these hobbies, recreational activities. You may join a club, you may join a group fitness class, you may join the YMCA, and you have dedicated days and hours that you set aside to go work out or to go do some exercise or walking or physical activity. So activity and physical activity can be both, right? And both of these are important, both of these are good. And so you could definitely incorporate more things as part of your day-to-day routine. And at the same time, you may also choose to do certain hobbies, sports, interests, which are more dedicated, that you assign time to throughout the day or throughout the week. These are all clearly interrelated terms. So here are some concrete examples of lifestyle and leisure time exercise and physical activity. Any type of household activities like we talked about, gardening, raking. In a few months, probably shoveling snow will be another form of household physical activity. There is also occupational physical activity. So certain occupations require people to do quite a bit of legwork or movement. For example, on days that I am teaching, I'm a professor here on campus. If I'm lecturing, I'm on my feet, I am pacing around the classroom. So part of my job is being active, being on my feet and walking about as I'm executing my job and my occupation. You could also have transportation related physical activity, and this is probably more popular in cities. I know Chicago has a bike share program, so people can bike from one place to another instead of choosing to take a taxi or a train or a bus. So transportation or active transportation can also be a means of physical activity. And then on the other hand, as part of your hobbies or things that you arrange for during your free time could be dedicated exercise, dedicated sport leagues or teams, or dedicated recreational activities such as perhaps joining a gym or going on treks or going to the state park for walks or going to the arboretum to do a nature trail. So those could be things that you would plan during your free time. So these are terminologies that, again, you will see quite often in the recommendations that we'll talk about. All of these, again, are recommended. They're all good. There is some evidence that more structured exercise is even better, and we'll talk about that shortly. So when we talk about exercise, it is a little bit different from physical activity. Exercise is something that is planned. It is usually a structured, repetitive form of exercise, and you usually exercise for a reason. Usually you have a reason or a goal that you are trying to achieve, and so you start an exercise program or you start an exercise regime. Usually that goal is to improve your health. It is to improve your fitness, or it could be to lose weight, which is also a very common and a very popular form of recommendation or a goal that individuals like to achieve. Exercise can also be of various types. So we have aerobic types activities where it's primarily an activity that is exercising your heart and your lungs. And so your heart and lungs are doing most of the work. You are breathing heavily. Your heart rate will increase as you're engaging in these aerobic activities. So swimming, cycling, walking, certain forms of gardening where clearly you do some work and you feel out of breath. And that is because your heart is working, your lungs are working. The second category is anaerobic activities, which is basically a synonym for strength and muscle type activities. So anything which involves lifting weights, resistance, anything that is exercising your muscles, your joints, your bones, those are often collectively referred to as anaerobic types activities. These may or may not necessarily get your heart rate high, but they will definitely fatigue those muscles that you're trying to work. So if you are lifting dumbbells, like in this picture with the lady, after a point in time, your arms will feel sore, right? When you're carrying heavy things, after a while, you can feel the soreness in your arms. So your muscles are doing the work, not necessarily your heart or your lungs. And then the third category that is increasingly emphasized is flexibility. Balance and flexibility, both of these things become really important as we age, because we know with aging, we have loss of balance, we have loss of mobility, and that's just a function of our cells and our body structure that is aging. And so there are definitely some recommendations around doing more flexibility focused exercises that can aid in our functioning on a day-to-day basis. So when you approach a physical trainer or a gym facility and you approach them and say, I'm looking to start to exercise, I'm looking to start to improve my health, I'm looking to lose some weight, I'm looking to improve my sleep patterns or reduce my fatigue levels, usually they will ask for or they will recommend a program that is around what we call FIT indices. FIT stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. So when you approach somebody, could be a research facility or could be, like I said, a fitness center or a personal trainer, they will figure out what you are trying to do, what is your goal, what are you trying to achieve. And based on those needs and based on your current health, your current fitness levels, your current physical activity levels, they will usually come up with a prescription that is along these 4 parameters. They will figure out how often should you be doing an activity, so that is the frequency. They will figure out what level should you start at. Should you be light, should you be moderate, or should you be vigorous intensity? What time or how much of exercise should you do during each of your workouts? So Maybe if you're starting new, if you have never done any weightlifting before, you may start slow. So you may start with maybe 10 or 15 minutes at a time, and you will gradually build up to maybe 30, 40, 50 minutes. And then type of exercise, depending on your goal, if you're looking to improve your cardiovascular health, if you're looking to improve your heart and lung functions, then you may be focused more on aerobic types of activities. If you're looking to build muscle, if you're looking to tone your muscles and your body, you may focus more on those anaerobic or muscle strengthening type activities. And so the type of activity also becomes important, and it all depends on what are you trying to get out of the workout? What is the goal of this exercise regime? Or what are you trying to achieve as part of becoming and adopting a more active lifestyle? So here are just some more examples along the same FIT principles. So on the left, you will see the frequency, intensity, time, and type. Those are the 4 parameters. The first column here gives you some examples around cardiovascular fitness and endurance. So exercising 3 to 5 times is ideal. You can use different heart rate zones as targets. We can talk about that in just a minute. The sessions, again, like I said, you can start slow, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then try to build up your capacity to exercise for as long as you can go. And then doing a specific types of activities that can help improve those specific markers that you're shooting for. For resistance training and anaerobic activities, things such as yoga or Pilates also qualify as anaerobic or muscle strengthening, muscle toning type activities. So it's also quite common for participants in research projects, as well as for community members to engage in yoga or stretching and Pilates as form of meeting those or exercising those muscles in the body. So moving into some of the benefits of exercise, there is a lot of evidence, and it just only keeps growing in terms of what can exercise do for us, what can exercise do for our body. And there is a long list of what we know of what exercise can do for us in terms of health and wellness. Overall, it definitely helps with cardiovascular health and mortality. So anything related to hypertension, heart disease, if you have had any friends or family who have had heart disease, oftentimes the recommendation by the physician or the doctors is that you need to start walking or you need to start doing some movement and exercise. So it's considered to be among the top recommendations for cardiovascular health or management. Diabetes, there is evidence that regular physical activity can help manage diabetes, glucose, insulin levels. It can definitely help with cholesterol, lipids, improving that good cholesterol and reducing that bad cholesterol. There is definitely a lot of evidence for lowering risk of cancers, and this again keeps growing over the years. But at this point in time, we know that regular exercise can lower your risk for future cancers or development of cancers in the future or a reoccurrence in the future for bladder, breast, colon, endometrials, esophagus, kidney, lung, and stomach. So there is definitely evidence suggesting that regular exercise can help prevent a reoccurrence or a future occurrence of some of these types of cancers. There is also evidence for mental health. So exercise is known to help with sleep, with anxiety, with depression, with stress and overall stress management. It can definitely help with weight gain, weight loss. So combined with nutrition, the right exercise plan can really do wonders for you. And then as we get older, definitely helps with reducing the risk of falling. Because doing those balance and flexibility exercises can really help improve your balance and lower the risk of falling among older adults. For cancer survivors specifically, these are some that have been well established. Exercise is known to improve fatigue levels, which is among the top symptoms and the top concerns for cancer survivors. It also improves overall physical functioning. It definitely helps with cardiovascular fitness, especially doing those walking or aerobic forms of exercise. Muscle strength, muscle toning, there is evidence for that. It can also help improve balance. As I mentioned on the earlier slide, definitely helps with lowering risk of certain cancers and recurrence of certain cancers across the populations. So there is definitely growing evidence. And again, the bottom line here is how do I, or what exercise do I need to do so that I can get or experience some of these benefits. So that is where we talk about recommendations and prescriptions, which we'll get to. This is another nice chart or a summary. It may be a little hard to read, but I can send a link of this to Savina and she can share it with you. But this is a short summary of the same exercise and prescription that I shared earlier. So what should be the dose of exercise for these different kinds of exercises? So you have aerobic only exercises, which is again, walking, swimming, jogging, etc. You have resistance only exercises, which are yoga, weight training, muscle training. And then you have combinations, so doing both of those things. And there is a lot of evidence for a variety of symptoms that are specific to cancer survivors. So on the left here that you see in the dark pink, there is strong evidence for improving cancer-related fatigue, for improving quality of life, for improving physical function, for reducing anxiety and depression, and lymphedema, which is again another symptom related to cancer treatment and survivorship. And then in these columns, what you see are some specific numbers and timing. So this goes back to that fit principle in terms of how often and how much do you need of each of these activities. And most of the evidence points towards 2 to 3x, so that is 2 to 3 times per week, and about 30 to 60 minutes if it's doing aerobic exercise, and about 8 to 15 repetitions if you're doing those muscle strengthening exercises. And muscle strengthening, usually doing that about 2 or 3 days of the week is good enough for you to show or start experiencing some of these health-related changes and improvements in your well-being. There is also some evidence, it says moderate evidence here on the bottom of the slide because there are not many studies which have looked at what these types of exercises can do for bone health, for cancer survivors, and for improving sleep among cancer survivors. There is some evidence that aerobic activities, again, walking, swimming, cycling, anything that gets your heart rate going, those activities, doing them 3 or 4 times a week for 30 to 40 minutes can help improve your sleep overnight. And that can help you feel more energized, feel more rested when you wake up the next day. So there is definitely some evidence suggesting that aerobic forms of exercise are consistently showing improvements in health and wellness. Combining them with resistance training also does good for your body and for your health. So with that, I'm going to skip to some of the recommendations of the American Cancer Society. So you may have heard about the organization. They are a scientific society which tries to, again, summarize all this information that I shared with you on the earlier slide. But here is what their current recommendation is. So when I said exercise is medicine, how much of it do you need? The current recommendation in general to get some of these health benefits is that you do 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activities, and you do 2 or more days of the week of activities that help strengthen your muscles, your bones, your joints. So doing a combination of these 2 things is optimal, is the best thing you can do for a variety of those health benefits that we talked on the earlier slide. The other tagline that they like to use is sit less and move more. So in our science and in our literature, we often have a phenomena that we refer to as the active couch potato. And what that refers to is somebody who goes to the gym every morning religiously, but is spending the rest of the day sitting in a couch or at a desk, working in a sedentary format or a sitting format. And so it's also important to break up those sitting times and sitting bouts and try to move throughout the day. If you have been sitting for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, get up, go out for a walk around the house, step out in the backyard. So just breaking up your bouts of sitting with short bouts of walking around or activity is also important. So with that, I'll share a little more information about a program that we have for cancer survivors here at the university. We are calling it the STRIDES program, and it's meant to be for cancer survivors. Our goal with this program is to really give you more information about the safest ways to exercise and engage in physical activity, but do this in the comfort of your homes. So really teaching you the skills, teaching you how to set up your own goals, your own prescription for exercise, monitoring your own physical activity behavior and habits, and trying to really increase that physical activity level for you and to improve your overall health. As part of the program, these are some things that we offer. So we will send you some exercise equipment if you sign up to participate. We also give you a pedometer. So a pedometer is a really nice way to track your steps. You can look at how much steps are you getting on a day-to-day basis. We still have some good weather for the next few weeks or months. So that could be a nice way to kind of try and get some more outdoor activity before the winter months. We will also meet with you weekly for a virtual exercise class. So Emily and Veronica will give you a glimpse of that today when they do a short session with you shortly. But it will be a similar exercise class over Zoom that you can join. We will record it. We will share it with you if you're unable to make it to a session, so you can still watch the video and exercise with us virtually. We'll also be there for you. So if you have questions, if you need help with setting up your goals, we will have some health coaching. You can call us if you have questions. We will call you to follow up and make sure you're trying to implement some of the strategies that we are teaching you. And then we'll also try and connect you with other members who are part of the STRIDES program. So our plan is to set up a social media group, either via an email group or perhaps a Facebook group, where you can connect with other people who are in this program. And then you can learn from each other or get help and strategies and tips from each other to engage in physical activity safely. So it's a 12-week program. Our plan is to kick that off by the end of this month, and it will wrap up in December, just ahead of the holidays. I can share some of the details in the chat box, or I can ask one of my students to put those in the chat box. We have an email and a phone number that you can reach us at if you have questions or would like to know more information. But currently, we have some of these criteria for how we have designed the program. So we are looking for 30 to 75-year-old cancer survivors to participate. We want to make sure that you are not currently undergoing any active treatment for cancers, because that can be difficult with starting a new exercise program. So we are looking for participants or cancer survivors who have completed their chemotherapy, active radiation, or any surgeries, and they are at least a month out since those active treatments. We are looking for people who are currently low active, because the way we have designed the program is really for people who would like to start exercise but are finding it difficult to start exercise. So we have it designed for people who are currently not active, currently looking for information, looking for resources. So this program is really designed for those individuals. Since the program is fully remote and fully over email, we would like that you have access to Wi-Fi, you have access to join us on a Zoom call for a class. You have an email ID where we can contact you or send you information about the program. And our program currently is only in English. So we are a little limited in being available or making the program available for people who speak other languages. But as I said, we kick this off by the end of the month. We have another 2 days of sign up. So we are looking for participants to sign up through the end of this week. So that is the 10th of September. And then I believe there is a link in the chat box that one of the students dropped, which has more information, and you can include your, if you can include your name or an email or a phone number, or if you can call us, we can give you more details about how to go about signing up for that program. So with that, I will now turn it over to Emily and Veronica for a short exercise class. Again, it is up to you, to your comfort levels. They are going to be easy exercises. We'll have some modifications seated in a chair. So if you are seated in a chair at your home, you can follow along with some of those exercises. And then we'll also have somebody who is standing. So Emily can also show you some more challenging exercises where you could be standing and you could be engaging in some movements and exercises. We'll also start with a warm up. So warm up and cool downs are really important when you start exercise. It's always a good idea if you have been sitting like we have been for the last 30 minutes to first warm up your muscles, to just do some easy stretches before you get into the movement and into the exercises. Savina, do you have any other announcements before I?
Yeah, I actually had a couple questions that came in. So for people that will be finishing their treatment maybe end of the year, would you run this program again next year?
Yeah, our plan is to have another round of the study, perhaps start of next year. So definitely reach out to us and we can keep in touch, and we can have your email or a phone number, and we can get back to you once we are ready to start another round of the program sometime in the spring. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we had a specific question of someone who's interested in, who's lost a little bit of muscle tone and was wondering what exercises they can do to help restore muscle tone. So the person specifically asked if swimming will be a recommendation for someone with low immune system. So bearing in mind just the COVID pandemic.
Yeah. So swimming is a great activity, but it is primarily for cardiovascular health. So it is an activity that will primarily target your heart and your lungs. So if you're specifically looking for improving muscle and muscle tone, some of the muscle strengthening exercises would be the way to go. And I can have Emily and Veronica today demonstrate a few of those with just some free weights that you could use. Or if you have soup cans at home, you could use those soup cans as a weight to do some of those toning related exercises. But targeting specifically some strengthening or resistance based activities would be the way to go for building that muscle and muscle tone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. I can turn it over to Emily and Veronica, and you guys can take it from here.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So as Dr. Gucci said, my name is Emily and I am a PhD student with her. And I'm just gonna show you a couple of short exercises to cover aerobic exercise, that anaerobic resistance, a little bit of strength training, toning, and a little bit of balance exercises. All of these can be done completely without equipment, or as Dr. Gucci said, if you have even soup cans or water bottles, you can incorporate a little bit of challenge in there. Of course, we're going to start with a warm up. So if you want to stand on up, activate those legs. We're first going to just start with some general neck rolls. When I do my warm up, I typically recommend to people to really start exercising all of those major, warming up all of those major muscle groups and joints, especially if you've been sitting for a while. And switch directions, remembering with neck rolls to go nice and slow. Really feeling those, every little baby muscle in your neck, just kind of strengthening. And we'll do some shoulder rolls. Now we're gonna work down with our shoulder joints. So nice, big, exaggerated shoulder rolls. And switch directions. Okay, now bring your arms up to what I call a goalpost. We're gonna work on that shoulder mobility. So I call it Y to goalpost. So we're working on that shoulder mobility. Again, this is great. You can easily do, this is something you can even do while you're sitting at your desk. Again, every little movement that you can, just incorporate and build into your day is awesome. All right, now we're gonna warm up our torso area. So I'm gonna have you bring your feet far, a little bit far apart. Bring your arms out, we're gonna do some windmills. So you're gonna take your opposite arm and you're gonna bring it down just to either your knee, your thigh, or your calf, however far you can go. And as you come up especially, make sure to engage your core and those back muscles to help you bring up. So again, we're just slowly moving, try to warm up. We're not going for speed, we're not going for out of breath, we're just warming up our body. Couple more here. And one more. All right, now you can either keep your feet apart or bring back together. We're gonna do some hip circles. So we're working our way down, now we're making it to our hip region. Feel some nice little snap, crackle, pops. I know I definitely am. And we'll switch direction here. Now we're just gonna do some nice marching in place as we transition to a little bit of aerobic exercise here. So just marching in place here. Well, now we're gonna add a little movement to that. She's coming untied here. Let's hope we don't have any accidents right in front of you here on this live stream thing, on this live stream video. So now we're gonna move into these steps. So this is moving into our aerobic moves. Really straightforward. All we're gonna do is we're gonna step out to one side, out to the other side, and back to center. So we're creating that V movement with our feet. And if you want, you can move your arms with it. I kind of like to just move my arms along with it. Do a couple here. Few more here. And one more. Now we're gonna do the box step, a little box trot here. So we're just gonna step like we're stepping on the outside of a square, the perimeter of a square. So just stepping into all four corners of a square. So one corner, two corner, three corner, four corner. Your square can be big, can be small. You don't even have to do a square. You can do a pentagon, you can do a hexagon, you can do a triangle, you can do a diamond, you could do a circle. All right, now we're gonna use a little brain power and we're gonna switch directions. So now reverse that square stepping. And even just 1 minute, 30-second burst of movement in your day after you've been sitting for a while is awesome. All right, so last little aerobic move we're gonna do. We're gonna do, these are called half Scotty. So keep your arms, one arm outside, you're gonna step out to the side and back. And back. If you have a wall or a chair, you can also use that too for a little bit of balance. So we're incorporating here a little bit of balance. A little bit of strength. I like this because it kind of works all three. You got balance as you are balancing on your standing leg. You got a little bit of strength as you're pushing out from the glutes. And you got a little bit of aerobic here. And let's switch directions. So using that wall, a chair. And then if you feel comfortable, you can pick it up a little bit. You can go further back, or you can just stay here. Whatever feels good for you. All right, so we're gonna switch into a couple toning exercises, little strength and toning exercises. First, we're gonna do some shoulder blades. So really, it's easy to work your shoulder blades with either no equipment or minimal equipment. We're gonna go, they're called scapular retractions or shoulder blade skates. You're gonna hold your arms out to your side. You can also hold them just like this. And you're just gonna squeeze your shoulder blades back, squeeze them together, and release. Squeeze and release. If you have weights or soup cans or water bottle or really anything that's heavy with a handle, these are great to do. Making sure you have a nice straight back or upright, squeezing together. Now I'm going to show you, so we're going to do some arm circles. So just making little circles here. Now this will work your shoulder muscles. Ooh, this burns. This can burn after a while here. We're gonna do a little bit bigger. Again, if you really want to challenge yourself, I think this is challenging enough without weights. But if you have some light weights, I would definitely only do this with light weights. As you work up to it, ooh, I'm already feeling that burn. Let's go bigger. Feel free to put your arms down anytime you need to. But this is great for shoulder muscles. And relax. Ooh, just let that lactic acid flush out. We're not gonna work our torso. So these are, we're gonna do some crunch, some standing abs. So you can actually do this standing or in a chair, both work. For these abs, you're just gonna put your hands behind your back, little micro bend, and just lean forward and up. And especially as you come up, engaging that core. Down and up. I'll show you in the chair too, really straightforward. Down, engaging that core. Remember to breathe, especially with all of these strength training. It's really easy to kind of forget to breathe. Breathe. And one more. For lower body, I'll show you some calf raises. These are super easy to do, really great, especially when you're brushing your teeth, waiting for your pasta to boil, watching TV. Very straightforward. You can do with no equipment, or if you need a chair for balance, just come up onto your toes and down. Up and down. Might feel easy at first, you might not even feel anything at first, but I guarantee you, more reps you do, it will start to burn. A few more here. And shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out. We're gonna do a little bit of balance exercises now. Again, you can hold on to a chair or nothing if you want to be free. And we're gonna raise our leg up and we're gonna raise our right arm out. I put my right arm. We're gonna bring our right arm to the side. And now we're gonna bring it back. So kind of increasing, your body's balance because you're destabilizing your upper body. So with this movement that you're doing with your arms, your body has to try to balance a little bit more to keep that balance. Bring it forward and down. All right, come down, we're gonna switch sides. And you have this here. Balancing is another great exercise too. Coming up with my left arm. That you can easily do while you're flossing. Bring it back. While you're brushing your teeth, while you're waiting in line at the bank. People might look at you weird, but you know what? You're getting in a workout while they are just standing there. And to the side. Never be afraid to bust out a little workout move wherever you are. And down. All right, so for the sake of time, looks like we have about a minute left or so. Hope you learned even one new move that you can start incorporating into your daily routine, daily activity. Again, these can all be done with no equipment, just as we did them, or with some light equipment that you have. And I hope you enjoyed that. Back to you guys.
Right. So yeah, that was just a quick short session just to give you an example of what our program looks like. So in our program with Strides, these are similar weekly video sessions that we do with the group. And we would, of course, have about 60 minutes of time. So we would have time to walk through a variety of different exercises that focus on, again, some of those cardiovascular, so getting your heart rate going, some which are muscle strengthening and toning, and also working on balance and flexibility. And of course, all of these exercises are modifiable, so you can always use a chair for balance or support as needed. But starting slow and again, building up to gradually over time is the way to go if you're new to exercise, or if you're starting an exercise program after a break or after a long time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gothi. One other question is, do you recommend shoes for when people are doing this exercises? And if yes, what kind of shoes?
Yes, so shoes are definitely recommended, definitely important. They give you a lot of stability and balance. So any type of a tennis shoe or a lace-up shoe is what is typically recommended. because it also helps cushion the movements a little bit for your knees, for your joints. So doing those on a shoe, wearing a shoe is definitely recommended. Definitely not doing it on a hard surface directly. So trying to avoid these types of exercises on hardwood floors or your garage concrete floor. That's not something that's ideal. You definitely want to make sure you're wearing some comfortable shoes as you're moving along. I guess depending on the carpet that you might have, if you're in a living room or a bedroom, perhaps if it's a carpeted floor and if it offers enough cushion to you, perhaps that might be okay. But wearing a shoe is definitely much safer because it's going to protect your knees, it's going to protect your ankles, especially from all that stepping and impacting movements, repetitive movements.
Thank you so much. If anyone has other questions,